Today I'd like to talk about the new Broadwell series ThinkPads because they represent a victory over the silly designers at Lenovo that decided it would be a great idea to revisit the BlackBerry Storm 9530 disaster of 2008, where somebody decided, let's make a screen that clicks. They decided, let's make a trackpad that clicks, let's make a trackpad that has 3 separate buttons all on one mechanical clicking device. And this was god-awful because they took something that was amazing. They took the Trackpoint, which is something that I talk about in previous videos. A Trackpoint is something that allows you to actually keep typing while using the mouse without having to move your hands away. So instead of having to move your hand over here every time you want to use the trackpad, you can just use the trackpad right here by moving that little red stick that's in the center of your keyboard. What they decided to do was take 3 buttons, 3 discrete buttons, left, middle for scrolling, and right click, and make it all into one button. And this is a complete, utter nightmare because you always click the wrong button. Like the side of your thumb, if you're trying to middle click and you're using your right hand, will hit the right click. If you're trying to middle click using your left hand, the side of your thumb right over here is going to hit the left click, and it is incredibly, incredibly frustrating and annoying. And I also talk about other design flaws with that design. And what they did is they actually listened. I mean, people complained and complained and complained, but instead of just saying, who cares, they actually changed it back. And I know a lot of you are going to think, well, that's still not a real ThinkPad. You know, that's not a real ThinkPad. The screen is still 16:9. The color of it is off. They have that silly new charging port. They don't have status LEDs. You know, they don't have dedicated volume buttons anymore. I don't have a status LED on my caps lock. And you're not going to think of this as a victory. But it is actually a victory because it means that we've taken a step in the right direction. This is probably going to be a really bad analogy because I'm kind of sleep deprived and I'm just about to go home. But in the 90s, homosexuals did not get equal rights in the military. They got don't ask, don't tell. And then later on, homosexuals got the same rights as heterosexuals. It's not something that happens overnight. As much as it would be nice to go from here to here immediately, this much change is too much for certain types of people to handle. But they can handle this, and then this, and then this, and then this. So you don't make the change immediately because a lot of people can't handle that. What you do is you do the change in steps that they can handle. So instead of doing one of these because people can't handle it, you do this, but 5 times. So instead of one big change, you make 5 small changes. And that's why I want you to still see this as a victory. We still have a lot to work on with these ThinkPads. We still have a lot to convince them of. I want to convince them that I want the ability to go Alt F4 and also go volume up and down without having to hit function, without having to change back and forth between things. I want dedicated volume buttons. I don't think it's that big a problem. I don't think it's that expensive. It's not going to take up any real estate that's not already being used by plastic that doesn't do anything. I'd like that. And we still have a long way to go with some of these. I would like an option. I'm not saying you need to make it 4:3, but it would be nice to not have a screen that's like this on a laptop that I don't use for watching movies. It would be nice to have these kind of options. And what you have to do is you have to keep talking about it. You have to keep bringing it up. You can't just say, I don't like this, but I'm just not going to complain about it and I'm not going to do anything. Do something about it. You know, one of the funny things about this channel is I'm not sure if any of you actually follow this or if you're just people who follow it as a result of these threads that explain why they hate the new Lenovos. One of the things about this channel is this is a channel that teaches people how to repair Apple products at the component level and how to run repair shops for Apple products. And over the past 5 months, 6 months, the highest viewed video on my channel by far is a video on Lenovo ThinkPads. I mean, this is not what this channel was here for. This channel, this was just me complaining in my off hours because I saw something that bothered me, and it actually is getting more views than all the guides I've put together on how to do component level board repair and everything else. So go figure. And it's kind of cool that the result of 50 or 60,000 views of all this, is that Lenovo actually listened and they changed it back. And the point of this video is, I know that a lot of you are saying this is not the classic ThinkPad. I know a lot of you are thinking this still is not enough, but it's a step in the right direction. Again, find me a Trackpoint that's actually usable on another laptop. Like, find me another laptop where you can just spill water in the keyboard and it comes out little holes in the bottom instead of ruining the motherboard. Find me a laptop that actually has a fan that's designed so that when dust comes into it, it gets shot right back out instead of getting sucked up by the fan. Find me a laptop that you can mine Litecoin on for 3 months and not have to worry about killing your GPU. Find me a laptop that you can drop off a ladder and have a small little hairline crack in the corner instead of a completely destroyed piece of shit. You know, I'll read a lot of stuff here going, no, you call the T520 a classic ThinkPad. That's no classic ThinkPad. What are you doing that you're actually breaking a T520? I mean, really, when you're saying that these newer ones are so not durable, what the hell did you do that caused you to actually break a T520? Because I want to know, because I've dropped it off a ladder before. I've spilled stuff on it before. And when I got my new ThinkPad, I did actually take the luxury of mining Litecoin on it for 3 months in my apartment, just with CUDA miner, just to see what would happen if I'd make anything. And it survived. I mean, it works. Like that is a workhorse laptop. Now, there are other things that I am kind of curious as to why you hate, and I would like input. I know a lot of people are going to call me stupid for asking. Status LEDs. I totally get why people don't like not having a caps lock thing. I want to know before I start typing if I'm in caps lock or not. That I really need to know. Hard drive status indicator light? Hard drive reading? I mean, really? What do you gain out of this? What do you gain out of seeing the computer is accessing a file? I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, it was always cool for the past 15, 20 years to see that little light blinking on my computers, but as a consumer user, and also as a professional, and also as somebody who actually repairs some of this stuff for a living, what do you get out of that? I mean, I saw somebody say, I wasn't able to troubleshoot my drive failing because I didn't see the status LED. That thing blinks even when the drive is dead. I mean, I don't get it. Well, what do you gain? How does that help you? I mean, that thing is a waste of a quarter of a milliamp or whatever it is that it's using every time it comes on. That's my personal opinion. The second thing is people talking about this new charger design. So they have that new rectangle instead of the circle. And this is where I just get this feeling that people just like to complain for the sake of complaining. One of the other things I've always liked about the Lenovo laptops is that you can't break that charging port. You know, on the cheap Dells, the cheap Toshibas, the cheap Acers, the cheap Asuses, that charging port is not only made very cheaply, it's constructed poorly, but it's also directly soldered to the motherboard, so when it wiggles, not only are you breaking that cheap-ass charging port, but you're also very often ripping it off of the motherboard. It's cheap crap, and it sucks. These charging ports are made very, very durably. Again, I can drop the computer onto the actual port and not worry about breaking it. They have wiggle room. It's great. You really can't break these. And I've noticed the same thing with my T440, because every single night I put the machine on the side of my bed. Every single night my cat gets jealous that there's something on my bed and decides to knock my T440 off of the bed, and it always falls in the same way and lands on the charger. That's been happening about every day for the past 6-7 months, and it still works, and the charger still works, and the port still works. I mean, what is the problem with it? And yeah, you need to realize that there is compromise to be made in moving forward. You want to make a thinner laptop, you have to make a thinner charger. Now, if that thinner charger was some cheap junk, it's a cheap jack, and the cheap jack is directly soldered to the cheap motherboard, it fails in a few months, I get why you're mad, I really do. And if you don't like it because it just forced you to buy other chargers, so if you're somebody like me who has a charger for one side of their apartment, the other side of the apartment, in their office, just because they don't feel like moving it around, I get it. You have to kind of accept that they moved forward and something changed, but I still get the anger. But if you're just looking at it and saying that's an inferior charging port, I really don't get it. I don't, and I would like to see actual evidence. I don't mean like one or two anecdotes explaining why it's bad. I would like to see actual proof that this is an inferior design, because and they call me nuts, I just don't see it. Media keys. So one of the things that I would like to see moving forward changed are media keys. So one of the things that has been driving me nuts is that I used to be able to hit function up and that would stop a song. I used to be able to hit function left and that would go back, function right and it would go forward. So on a laptop that's trying to appeal more to the modern consumer, you've actually taken away the media keys that allow me to control my media player, which if I'm a consumer, I use. So again, and this is something where you're really not taking away from functionality of the laptop in any way by having those there. There's really no compromise, as I said. That's something I'd like to see changed. I would like to see media keys back. Again, there is absolutely nothing that Lenovo loses. There's nothing that's going to take away from anybody. You're not going to have a single person on earth who says, I like this laptop less because the up, down, left, and right arrow keys can double as media keys when you hit function. I don't get that. Again, I would understand if you decided that up, down, left, and right need to be something else, or if you thought that should be print screen, or scroll lock, or escape, or open the web browser, or whatever the hell it is. I'd understand it. But you took working media function keys, and you replaced them with nothing. Why? So yeah, there are a lot of things that I know you would like to see changed. I know you'd like to see an old keyboard layout back. I know you'd like to see screens with different aspect ratios. I know you'd like to see media function keys back, volume keys back, original function keys back, different color casing. But the things that we're truly united on and hating, the things that like that clicking trackpad that is just complete bullshit, the things that we are really united in our disdain for, Lenovo will change. And I think that is a step forward. I think it's a victory, and I think we should focus on this victory while trying to move over to the next and bringing back a laptop that I like and I use and I enjoy. Because, as I've said in the last video, there is no alternative. People say, look at this Dell Precision series. Again, I look at the keyboard, I look at the layout of the keyboard, I look at the power jack, I look at the track point or lack of a track point on this, the HP EliteBook, the Dell Latitude, the Dell Precision, all the Toshiba business laptops. I put a ThinkPad T520 or even a T440 in my lap, and then I put all these other ones, and every other one feels like crap. I have to use a laptop. And when I put the ThinkPad in my lap, it's like, huh, I'm going to get work done. It just feels like a laptop that I can use for work, and that is, nobody else makes it. So it is important to me that Lenovo keeps the ThinkPad line as something that I can actually use for productivity, because if I don't have that as a machine I can use for productivity, I'm going to be kind of a little, just a little bit sadder over the course of my everyday work. And I'm hoping that you guys agree. And I'm hoping that all of you agree, and I'm hoping that you'll all help keep Lenovo honest and help keep Lenovo creating products that we all use, enjoy, and love for 5, 10, 15 years into the future, because as anybody who owns a Lenovo knows, they just don't die.